Adeline.
And I'm Valerie.
And you're listening to the Hey Love podcast.
We know just what it's like to have a queer and woman-owned small business team. After all, we're Hey Love Studio.
Here, we'll be sharing our tips and tricks of what we have learned over a few years running a small business.
Whether it's a marketing strategy or how to get new clients or how to even just treat the clients you already have better, we're going to let you in on all the little secrets that make our team successful.
So join us along while we untap topics to make sure you shine and hype your clients up and pay those bills. So today's going to be a bit spicy in the sense of we've been actually talking about this topic quite a bit recently. And I think when it comes to this recording, we're going to maybe say things that might contradict ourselves. But I think it's because it is such an important thing to think about when it comes to wedding and elopements. And topic for today is we're going to talk about why it's important to have two photographers or videographers at your wedding or your elopement, especially why we think it's so important and why it is so impactful rather than just having one person.
So when we first started, I wasn't doing photography and videography. I was really just assisting you. And so for your first few weddings, you did it on your own.
Yeah.
What did you think of that experience? How did that feel for you? The first wedding you shot was 20 people, elopement, micro wedding.
Yeah. I think for me, it's even a privilege to have you there because having an assistant already is two people. And that's what people don't realize is just having one photographer is just one photographer. So I think we have never done a video, like a wedding or elopement with just me. And to be honest, I don't think if I ever want to, because even with the 20 people wedding, it was chaotic in itself because it was in a park. Grandma was passing out. We wanted group shots. There was 10 minutes before our reservation at the restaurant was happening. It had its challenges within itself. And I think for me, the fact that you were there as my assistant helped me to be in two places almost at once. I really wanted to comfort and make sure that the grandma is okay without even picking up my camera. But the person who actually is our client insisted on us taking photos while this was happening. And with you being there, I could say, hey, honey, can you please make sure grandma's okay? Give her some water that we brought. Yes, give her whatever you need and I can go take the photos.
Okay, so it was interesting because it was a micro wedding and they didn't have anybody else. I really stepped up not only as the assistant, but also as the day of coordinator.
Yeah, which is another topic now that's really coming up on the professional wedding sites. Your photographer and videographer is not supposed to be your coordinator and planner. We can do certain things, but we can't play both roles. But any case.
Well, or rather we can. And I think this is kind of my thinking is we can play both roles, but when we do, we're inevitably shortchanging our work as artists, right?
Yeah.
The minute we have to step in and be an assistant or be a day of coordinator or do anything outside of just focus on capturing the memories, you're going to get less photography. You're going to get less coverage. Yeah. We're still very capable and professional and able to provide beautiful artistic shots, but obviously you don't want your artist team having to focus on anything else other than capturing those moments.
I think I would have felt extremely stressed, extremely split up in these two directions that I needed. And I think for me, when it comes to bigger, that's a small event. If it comes to a bigger event, having one photographer that is seasoned is going to be very important because that photographer would know where to be and when to be and how to balance it. But I promise you, a photographer and videographer cannot fix the time for you. If you're running 10 minutes behind, that photographer still cannot be in two places. So therefore, you need to make sure that you have buffer times and stuff. And again, that's a seasoned photographer or videographer that would know how to deal with that. I didn't think I would ever want to do elopement or wedding really without you, whether that's you shooting or you being my assistant. And I think we've had these conversations quite a bit now. But, and this is where I think you're going to come into, is there are certain moments in the time that I think it's very necessary to have two photographers, for instance, the ceremony.
Yeah. So if we really think about it, there are times in a wedding day, especially if you're having it be a lot slower, where one photographer can capture the moments, right? I'm thinking like a photographer who's going between both partners to capture their like pre-ceremony photos, or a photographer who is capturing getting ready moments for both partners. Typically, we've been at weddings where one person is maybe ready before the other, and so that makes it really easy to split up.
Yeah.
What makes it a lot more challenging is when you're having moments that cannot be done again, and that's specifically the ceremony. The really great thing that we do with a lot of our couples, even on their wedding days, we're going to do the same poses a couple of times, and that way they can feel more comfortable. The first time we ask you to cuddle and hold each other like this, you might feel a little awkward. You're like, I'm sorry, what are you asking? Is this what I do? But by the third time we ask you to do it, you're like, oh, slay, I got it. And you're able to pose very quickly, very naturally, and that's really what we're going for. And so when it comes to anything pre or post ceremony, almost all of that can be done again and we can capture that same moment. However, the ceremony is that time when you can't. There's only one moment of you walking down the aisle. There's only one moment of maybe a family or friend, giving you a hug at the altar. Then certainly we know there's only one first kiss. And so all of those moments are really hard to capture with one person. And even when you do have one person who's very seasoned and skilled and can do it, that means they're probably going to be running around a lot. And that's something also that now, having been to so many weddings, I've realized is the professional wedding photographers and videographers fade into the background. You don't notice them, right?
Especially at the ceremony.
Specifically at the ceremony, right? They're able to blend into the crowd. They're able to walk with purpose, but walk calmly. But if you have the budget, unfortunately, for one photographer, or you think that's all you need, regardless of your budget, what ends up happening is that one photographer may be running up and down the aisle to try and capture both partners, both directions coming down the aisle. And that's a lot of work. So that's been, I think, one of the biggest things for us is like, we can literally be in two places at once. I mean, Adeline and I, we game plan our wedding ceremony. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So for me, it's really important to do the hard work. And if I say hard work as an artist, you have to prepare. Let's say you're a painter. I'm sure there's sketches before that happens, or you go to other mediums and forums and practice your skill. It's the same here with us. And I take about 3 days before a wedding. So today is actually one of those days. And I sit down, I look through the questionnaires we've answered with y'all. I look through who you are as human beings and shared what you shared in meeting with us. And then I look through your venue spaces and stuff. Majority of the time we visit your venue space or your reception beforehand to make sure that we understand it. And if not, most likely have Google Earthed it and all these things. And after that, I look at a timeline and then I actually go and I look at the photographs and videos I've done before and I plan things and I storyboard it and I imagine how the day would look like if it was absolutely perfect. And then after that, I even insert what ifs, and then Valerie and I sit down the day beforehand and we make sure everything is charged, is up to date, SD cards are ready to go. And then we talk about the storyboard I've made. And then we brainstorm on how to create those images as a team and where to be at what time, and again, addressing the what ifs. And I think it's so important because when you come to a wedding or elopement, I don't want to ask you, is there any other photos? I will come to you and say, hey, I have grabbed everything that is memorable and what we have talked about. Just before I leave, is there anything extra that is on your mind? And then, I walk away. But other than that, everything is
already done in advance.
Yeah.
And I mean, we even get so detailed to where we're typically drawing out the ceremony kind of setup.
Yeah.
And then we're also game planning. Okay, so which side are you going to be on? What moments are you 100% capturing? I'm going to capture this detail. What are you going to be doing at the same time? And that's been super beneficial because, again, it makes sure that we know what we're doing. So day of, we're not having those conversations. There have been times where we've second shot or associate shot for other photographers. And maybe, a lot of times they didn't really plan that way with us. And so 2 minutes before ceremony, they're telling us where they want us to be and what they want us to capture. And that's a lot of pressure and stress when we've got a million things running through our head, right? And so we really have found that the more we can slow down and prep before the wedding day, then the better we show up prepared, ready to go, ready to rock and roll.
I mean, even just being at the venue space an hour beforehand so that we can go to the venue space beforehand, but we will not know how it's set up. So being there an hour before, 30 minutes before, and just walking through the space, seeing where the seats are.
Saying hi to people.
It's so important because then we get to be in the back seats. Like, I get so frustrated when there are 2 photographers or videographers and the ceremony is happening and they're up there in the stage. And that's like, get a zoom lens. Be in the backside and shoot with lenses that can get that detail shot. So you don't have to be up there.
With the couple.
But yeah, so it's very important what we do also beforehand. And bonus, now we have little
headsets. Yeah, so that's a really common thing for video teams, video productions. And so we've been able to use them in the field on other shoots. And so we finally decided to invest and get our own pair for weddings. And that's been so great because it also means during ceremony, Adeline and I can check in. Adeline can say, hey, Valerie, I was able to get the vows from this angle. Did you get the other shot? And even if it's just a check-in, like, hey, did you get it? That can help us both really like stay centered and feel good in the moment. We can also remind each other, hey, have you checked your white balance recently? Hey, what's your speed? Hey, what's your battery life? You know, we love Adeline, but Adeline does not like carrying things on her body other than her cameras. So I always like to check in with Addie about 5 to 10 to 15 minutes prior to ceremony to make sure she has enough space on our SD cards, that she has enough battery juice, because the last thing you want to have happen is mid-ceremony needing to change any of those things. So that's been really great. It's also been nice because I know we've done a few weddings where the ceremony might have a really unique system, like there might be like an upstairs loft, and we want some of those photos, but we're also trying to do it at a, obviously inconspicuously, but also at a time in the ceremony where you can be the solo shooter and let me go upstairs. And so it's really nice to be able to communicate in the moment. Hey, I think this part of the ceremony is going to go on for a minute. Why don't you hop up there, see if you can get the shot? And then if I can't, I can also communicate to you and say, hey, Adeline, I need you to get the shot. So that's been really great.
I also want to mention, even with receptions, people don't think about receptions and first dances and speeches. One thing that I really enjoyed of us shooting together is not only then you can focus on getting the couple's reaction to the photographs, but the person who's delivering the speech or people reacting to the person who's talking. And I think those photographs will not be necessarily as calmly done as when you have 2 photographers. I think one photographer, if you think about, there's a wedding where we recently did and I was a second shooter, I was able to sneak around in places where I was not intrusive, but I got a very unique perspective where the first photographer, the lead photographer, was getting the safe shots, which we mean like the couple listening, right? But I was getting the creative photos. And I think that's really important, is if you look for coverage for your wedding and elopement and you want something more than just the average photos for the photos, I think a 2-person team is so important. It allows us to calm, because there's always going to be that, oh, but this is a big day. I have to get these shots. And it allows us to enter a space of artistic flow and generally being able to see things as they play out.
Yeah. My last thing I think I'll say to wrap this up is second photographers are an added expense, and quite considerably. Not only are you talking about physically having 2 people there who are shooting, but you're also talking double the gear. So typically we each travel with 2 cameras. A camera body alone is $2,000. You've just doubled the cost of our gear
That's a
right
cheap
there.
camera.
That's an affordable starter basic level camera body, right? Bonus, now we also have to have 4 lenses, right? So lenses
At minimum.
at minimum, and lenses also range from $1,500 to $2,000 and up. But like, again, that's kind of the starting rate. So when you think about hiring a second shooter, again, you're not just hiring somebody physically there to shoot. You're also hiring double the gear. You're hiring double the editing. You're hiring double the delivered assets, whether that's video or photos. When you're not working in this industry, you wouldn't understand why it's so expensive to have a second person there. It really is a big added expense, but one that we ultimately feel is extremely worthwhile.
So if you reach out to us, just know that our packages are already built in with both Valerie and me. I don't think it's something that we ever want to negotiate on unless it's a very specific like wedding or elopement and we see that we don't necessarily need both there.
Yeah.
But I think
we've even gotten to the point, though, where even if that's requested, most likely during the ceremony, both of us are still going to shoot.
Yeah.
Like, we can understand to an extent if maybe you don't necessarily value too many photos or videos pre or post ceremony, or it's a super small elopement or micro wedding where you just don't feel that that's necessary. But certainly during the ceremony, I think you and I would almost never, never want to do that alone. Any last thing you want to say about double shooting?
No,
photographers?
I think we talked about the important bits. I think it should be normalized in the industry, whether it's a actual second photographer or assistant. Photographers or videographers, if you look at this and you're like, I don't agree with you, let me know why. But also think about the fact that maybe you have an extra hand on deck, and how would you feel about that if you have that constant like assistant or second shooter with you. But yeah, so if you love today's episode, thank you so much for joining us again. We love it that you are listening to us ramble about things that we actually are passionate about. Please go follow us on Hey Love Studios on Instagram. That's where we post all the chaos and the beauty in between: weddings, elopements, families, senior session, all those things. Let us know if you enjoyed today, and then hopefully we'll see you at the next one.
See you soon.
Bye. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, and hopefully you've learned something.
Yeah, if something really stuck with you today, please consider sharing it with another photographer, videographer, creative. Make sure you hit follow and consider leaving us a review.
And if you love this chaos, please ensure that you follow us on Instagram at Hey Love Studio. This is where we share our BTS, our beautiful queer love, and other couples, and we would love to see you there.
Until next time, keep creating,
keep celebrating,
and know that, hey love, we got you.